those two, right? Okay. Welcome to the Village Board meeting of June 16th, 2025. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening by our Village Clerk, Manal Desai.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting to order, and I ask Village Clerk Manal Desai to call the roll.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Here.
Trustee Schechter.
Here.
Trustee Kimani Levy is absent. Trustee Robinson, absent. Trustee Iverson.
Here.
Trustee Lissa Levy.
Here.
Mayor Tennis.
Here, and we have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Yes,
Thank you,
Trustee
Mayor.
Pierce-Lovan.
Thank you. I would like to remove from the consent agenda under 13 Corporation Council, item A.
Thank you. It
Thank
is
you.
removed. So with that removed, a motion is in order to approve the remainder of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Trustee Pierce-Lovan. Is there a second? Trustee Lissa Levy. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Aye.
Trustee Schechter.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy.
Aye. And the motion passes. So we will now talk about, or no, I'm sorry, we will not talk about it until we get to the Corporation Council section of the meeting. Okay. There are no proclamations this evening or resolutions. We don't have any award presentations tonight, but we do have a very, very special presentation and recognition, the unveiling of the Village Seal mosaic. So we are unveiling the mosaic of the new Village Seal that will be located behind me and behind us. Before the big reveal, I would like to introduce Communications and Community Engagement Director Patrick Degnan, and it's also my honor and delight to introduce artist Joe Felice. Joe was an esteemed member of the village's Public Works and Engineering Division for many, many years, and he is our artist. And Joe, it's just a delight. So I'd like to introduce both of you to say a few words.
All right, well, good evening, Mayor and trustees. My name is Patrick Degnan. I'm the village's Director of Communications and Engagement.
Is the microphone on?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Microphone's loud and fixed from April when I requested it.
Please. Thank you.
Okay, well, tonight I have the pleasure of introducing Joe Felice. Joe is an artist who specializes in stained glass, sculpture, and mosaic works. He also served in the village's Public Works Department for 37 years and retired in 2012. During his career, Joe was instrumental in many public-facing projects here in Skokie, including creating the Skokie Spirit stained glass window, which is on Oakton Street, the Village Hall entrance on Oakton Street, producing village entryway signage, selecting, installing, and uninstalling works at the Skokie North Shore Sculpture Park, and creating and installing the previous Village Seal stained glass window, which was displayed here in the council chambers. After the village board adopted a new seal in March, we reached out to Joe to see if he would be able to create a new installation for the council chambers. And tonight I'm really excited to share that mosaic with you. Before I introduce Joe, I just also want to introduce and acknowledge a few members of the Village Seal Committee who are here with us tonight, including Co-Chair Maria Monastero Bueno, Co-Chair Ken Kuhn, Sheila Crumrine, Joe Hibden, Amanda Sabri, and Dick Wittry. If I forgot anybody, please raise your hand. They put a lot of time and effort into this project, so I just wanted to...
I'm sorry?
And now I'd like to introduce Joe.
Good evening, Mayor Tennis, trustees, and Village Clerk Desai. I'm Joe Felice, and I'm honored to be here tonight to unveil my mosaic rendition of the new Village Seal designed by Mary Fedorowski in collaboration with Marnie Smiley. This mosaic replaces the stained glass version I created and installed when the Village Hall edition was dedicated back in 1980. So it's hard to believe that's been 45 years ago, and it's been a long run. The original stained glass panel hung on the back wall behind, just above the mayor's chair. Over the decades, 4 mayors served beneath that piece. Mayor Albert Smith, Mayor Jackie Gorell, we had Mayor George Van Duzen, and we also had the Honorable Ann Tennis. And, very proud of you. Thank you very much. It feels especially meaningful to mark this next chapter with all of you. We are honoring the leadership that has shaped this community and celebrating the vision that carries it forward. Now, let's unveil the piece.
If our village clerk would join me?
Thank you. That felt good. Thank you. The new mosaic is made with Orsoni mosaic glass, handcrafted by a historic foundry in Venice, Italy. This foundry has been producing smalty and gold mosaic since 1888. And coincidentally, that's the same year that our village was incorporated. So that connection made the choice of materials feel especially fitting. A few years ago, my son Patrick and I had the privilege of visiting Orsoni, a foundry. A member of the Orsoni family guided us through the space and led us to the storage rooms. Each room was a stunning sight, and with shelves stacked from floor to ceiling, filled with smalty in every imaginable color. They produce over 2,500 different colors. So it just seems a little overboard, but somebody needs that many. So seeing this vast palette in person and knowing that each piece was handmade, it's kind of a long pause. Okay, that wasn't planned. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so seeing that vast palette in person and knowing that each piece was handmade deepened my appreciation for this timeless art form. It was an unforgettable experience and made creating this mosaic even more meaningful. I hope this new seal, like the one before it, continues to reflect the pride and spirit of the Skokie community for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I'd like to thank both Joe and Patrick Degnan for their hard work and dedication to this important community project. And I know the members of the committee who are here were acknowledged, but I'd like to acknowledge all of you again and ask you to stand up if you would. And particular shout out to former trustee Kem Kuhn, who started this 4 years ago, I think. So if you'd stand up, we'd like to give you another round of applause. So the next phase of the new seal project is the redesign of the village flag, and we are soliciting input or a design, and there's more information on the village website. So, thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comment. We are timing individuals for 3 minutes. To be clear, this time is set aside now and throughout and later in the agenda as a time where we hear from the community. And we may not necessarily respond, but we are eager to listen for 3 minutes to whatever a community member or members would have to say. So, is there anyone who would like to address the board at this time?
Good evening. This is my first time since the election being back here with a new mayor and trustees. I'd like to congratulate the new trustees and the new mayor here. And now I'd like to get on to doing the things we talked about during the election. Mayor Tennis, I'd like to communicate directly with you to create the meeting that on April 1st in front of a large crowd of people you promised. As Mr. Oakley has obfuscated the times on multiple occasions, and you're an elected official. I'd like to just communicate that directly with you. I'd love to have Gail come with you that day if you're worried about coming by yourself, which you shouldn't be, because right now you're in a honeymoon period, and I want you to succeed. I want every trustee and every person that was elected to be successful. On June 3rd, I wrote a letter summarizing my problems with the previous administration, which was about 6 or 7, 8 pages long. To my knowledge, none of the things in it have been acted upon to fix yet. I want to just read a portion of the challenges in the record. We at 9330 Laurel have several problems that other Skokie residents don't have. We have, within 3 blocks of us, IDOT property, county roads, District 68 Jan Stinson School, ComEd, places that are not being maintained properly by the Village Standards Board. Tickets are not being written for the extensive grass that's there, the extensive dog droppings on the property, which is creating a red-winged blackbird infestation in the neighborhood, which they dive bomb people, and it's very dangerous. The Village of Wilmette is currently taking action on the red-winged blackbird issue. I urge the village to start to research the ways that that can happen. I'll share that with you in more detail at another time. But you know, our property is unique in the fact that we have 6 of those entities that are not under the village's control directly. And we need assistance because under the previous administration, that hasn't happened. So I'd like to hear back from you in the next 24 hours, either Gail or Ann or both of you. And I'd like to have you come out and have a visit this Saturday or sometime soon. With the Jane Stenson thing, that can be fixed by changing the bus routes. I've learned that they're not busing people less than 1.5 miles away. It could be less than, prior to the pandemic, it was 5 blocks. I want to get to 99% of the things that are there. You seem more interested in watching the clock than looking at me while I'm talking, Ms. Tennis.
I am listening to every word you're saying.
looking at the clock
You're
more
going to
than
get
looking
4 more seconds. Go ahead, please.
I should get 3 more minutes because of the violation of the Open Meetings Act that took place last meeting, but I'll come back later.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll continue with our our agenda. Next is the report of the village manager, who is being represented tonight by our assistant village manager and acting village manager, Nick Wyatt.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees, and good evening, everyone. Items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H were approved under tonight's consent agenda, so that would complete my report.
Thank you, Nick. Now we'll move on to the report of our corporation council, and we will discuss the first item. Barb,
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Mayor. Trustees, as Mayor Tennis alluded to, item A from my agenda has been removed. Item A was on the consent agenda, and this is up tonight for second reading and adoption. The first reading was on May 19th, 2025. This ordinance will reduce the speed limit from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles per hour in residential districts in Skokie and will take effect on March 1st, 2026. Subsequent to an engineering study that was done, it was determined that a reduction from 30 to 25 miles per hour in residential districts was warranted and would benefit the community and promote traffic safety. As this is a wide-scale change to the traffic pattern in Skokie, a significant amount of time will be required for the proper signage to be placed throughout the village, as well as a strong public education campaign to be in place prior to the effective date for the speed limit reduction. And attached in the packet was a memorandum from Patrick Dunnigan, Chief Jesse Barnes, and Samantha Maximilian.
Thank you.
I would request board action tonight.
Questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Corporate Counsel. I have questions regarding this study because I'd like to understand the process. I know you said that it was an engineering study, but I would like to know if this was data-driven. That's number one. The second question I have, is there a study available that compared the 25 versus 30 speed limit and the impact on safety? Because I haven't seen any of the data that's been brought to the board. In addition to that, I'd like to know what the financial impact on the village is by reducing the speed limit and changing the size. And what are the consequences of reduced speed in vis-a-vis the law enforcement, because now they have additional responsibilities to continue ticketing when there's, crimes that we need them to be concerned about as well.
I think we have Samantha and Jesse that can address those questions.
Samantha's our senior engineer and our police chief, Jesse Barnes.
Thank you. I know I gave you a lot of questions. I can
I'll
repeat
tackle
them
the
one by one.
enforcement question while I remember it. So based on engineering study, 96% of the streets in town, the natural flow of traffic was already within the range of this speed limit recommendation. So from our perspective, we do not believe that we are going to experience a large enforcement need. It would be targeted. It would be based on where data shows us and community complaints show us that there needs to be targeted enforcement. That is our approach now. Our overarching traffic enforcement priorities are obviously reduction of crashes. We had a lot of serious crashes with major injuries last year. We're trying to reduce that. So we try and do that in a targeted manner based on community concerns and data. I will let Samantha talk a little bit more about the data, but the data in this one does not demonstrate that we're going to have a great deal of additional enforcement. It would be targeted, and from an enforcement perspective right out of the gate, I might add that certainly there would be a big education piece. There's going to be a lot of warning, citations issued, things of that nature, because we do understand that there's going to be a period of time where it takes people to adjust to seeing those new signs and understanding the new speed limit.
Before Samantha begins, I'd like to defer to Nick about the cost question.
I know we have an internal sign shop, so the cost to update signs at all the major roadways coming in are minimal. It's just the price to buy the material, and Samantha can talk more about that.
Thanks, Nick. Good evening. Yes, so the cost is minimal, but if for transparency purposes, it's about $8,000 just for internal, what we estimated the cost of the signage, the change in the signage. So that's for your cost question. And I think you asked about the study that was conducted. So I believe we did provide
copy of our study in the board meeting that May 19th. It was a very thorough study. We looked at all of our residential streets in Skokie. We collected 85th percentile speeds and average percentile speeds, and we looked at that in terms of a traditional engineering study, and looked at when you're setting speed limits, all the guidelines that's already established for looking at installing a posted speed limit and what the traffic flow should be going at. And as Chief mentioned, our data showed that 96% of the drivers on our residential Skokie streets are already going within that desired range of a 25 mile per hour speed limit. So when we look at setting speed limits, that's something important as a traffic engineer, that we set appropriate speed limits. Roughly, we want drivers to be going 5 miles within a posted speed limit. That is just to make sure that we're not setting speed limits that are inappropriate for roadways, but also so that speed limits can be appropriately enforced.
I'm sorry if I don't remember. So in the study that you just referred to, and was there a comparison of the 25 versus 30? Like, how do we arrive at making the decision if 96% of the drivers are already within the range? So why are we making this change? That's the part I'm not understanding.
Our current speed limit, the default speed limit in Skokie is 30 miles per hour. Really what we started looking at holistically within the village is when we started working with our current platform of Urban SDK, which we're able to proactively look at village-wide speeds throughout Skokie. And so as we get concerns that come in, or as we're looking at streets, we're seeing that actually people are going well below the 30 mile per hour speed limit. And so instead of reducing speed limits one by one on a street, we wanted to look at it holistically in the village and be proactive and make this adjustment also to provide more consistency. While we have a default speed limit of 30 miles per hour, there are many residential streets that are 25, like Main Street or Laramie. Over the years, we have brought speed limit reductions to the board for approval. And so this is really going to provide a consistency throughout Skokie for what our speed limit will be. So we won't have variable speed limits on a large scale. It'll be a lot more consistent.
May I? I'm sorry. Thank you. I understand consistency, but again, if you're saying 96% are already driving within the range, I don't understand the change. I'm really trying. I'm not trying to push back at you. I hope you know that. But why are we making the change if 96% already are? Is it just for consistency? Because if it's not because of safety, then I'm not understanding the decision.
I think, really it's all of the above. As mentioned, our data does support, the reduction in the speed limit. We're seeing people are going slower, and so we're wanting to set those appropriate speed limits, reduce confusion in the variable speed limits that we have throughout Skokie. That's one of the reasons as well. And it just in general supports our broader mobility goals of creating a walkable, safer community for the village. And so along with our education campaign, our messaging with Skokie, it's really just kind of like a reminder to what a safe speed is for Skokie drivers.
Can I jump in and add something? From the police perspective, I think it's important to recognize that as speeds increase, the severity of injuries is obviously going to go up, especially in pedestrian and bicyclist accidents. So there is definitely a safety value there because it provides additional reactionary gap for drivers. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, we're a distracted generation, so that is something that we obviously are trying to influence people's behavior, make them pay more attention to the road. but the faster they're going, the less time they do have as a reactionary gap. So there is a safety element to it there. And anecdotally, we had discussions about this at a local chiefs meeting. About a dozen, maybe a little bit more than that, agencies in the room. 4 of those agencies had a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit on their side streets, and the rest of them were all 25. So I seeked their feedback as to whether they had had any changes, and they had not had any changes because that's where their speed limits were. And I asked them if they had an enforcement issue, and they said it's the same enforcement issue as everywhere. It's one-off enforcement based on complaints and egregious violations.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to ask the question.
Other questions? Trustee Schechter, and then we'll go to this side.
I just wanted to clarify that you had mentioned, Samantha, that the village actually began this study last August, I think. I mean, you've been working on this for a number of months. This didn't just come up.
Right, the data collected were for quite a few months, yeah.
Yeah. And, the other thing that struck me at your presentation on the 19th, when you said it struck you, the psychology that just by lowering the speed limit, maybe people were within that bound, but they are less likely to, the increment that they might exceed that limit actually goes down as the speed limit goes down. I don't know if you wanted to repeat that or,
Yeah.
in terms of that safety concern.
Yeah, of course. So that was, we referenced a study that the city of Boston did for that study, and just, they did the same thing. They reduced the speed limit from 30 to 25, and just by the education campaign that they put forward with reduction in speed limit, kind of the same reasons, provide consistency, remind drivers of what a safe speed is in local streets. They were able to attribute overall like 3 to 4 mile per hour reduction in what their speeds that they looked at after that change was implemented.
Trustee Levy.
Thank you. So I want to say thanks for the study, and also to reiterate that reducing the speed limit overall really speaks to that it's not just car travelers that are on our roads. It's pedestrians, it's cyclists, it's motorcyclists, it's e-bikes. So reducing the speed limit, I think, really is taking a chance to evolve with how transportation is evolving. The other question that I had is about the education piece and what the vision is for disseminating that information. I found that it's difficult to reach all residents unless you have a comprehensive strategy. So I'm wondering if you can speak to what that strategy is.
So I think
Patrick, yeah.
Dunnigan, you can speak to that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the question. I think our strategies, it's a multi-pronged strategy. It's outlined in the memo, but we have a few things that we're planning to try to do that we haven't done before, to maybe reach people we haven't reached, but also to help the message stick, because I think we reach a lot of people, but sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other, because there's just a lot of information to absorb from all sorts of people and organizations. So a few things that we're planning to do is a chalk art contest. It's being that it's summer, that's an opportunity where people are out talking to their neighbors, so we're planning to encourage them to do that and to take part in a Summer of 25 chalk art contest. We also have opportunities at Backlot Bash and some of the summer events to spread the information. We have some fun giveaways planned with Summer of 25 sunglasses that, again, I think are just kind of fun and help people. It's 2025, speed limit's 25. It's just an easy message to help get to people and help them hopefully stick. Social media campaign, again, with going off the summer, sunglasses, fun theme. We have a series of social media images planned featuring police officers and members of the community, bicyclists, all sorts of people who are using the roadways who can help us share that message, as well as partnering with some organizations that can help us do that. Another thing we have not tried before is a Spotify playlist, so we're taking requests of easygoing summer driving songs that we were to share with people. Again, and that's not the core of the campaign, but it's another fun way to like reiterate the message and help people think about it and talk about it. And then also, we have a good opportunity to target people who are actually drivers in Skokie. It's the vehicle sticker season, so there's going to be people lining up, like it or not, in Village Hall through July 31st. So we can give them in-person handouts. We have the ability to include a mailer for people who pay through the mail, as well as target people via email who've made the purchase online. So we have the ability to reach actual Skokie drivers directly. And then, of course, all of our other communications channels that we use. So Facebook, The Scoop, New Skokie, the next edition will be out September 1st. So we'll be reiterating all those safety messages. And I think just echoing what the chief and Samantha said is, this just gives us an opportunity to encourage driving safely. It's just another opportunity to remind people to drive safe, to drive the speed limit, and to let them know to share the road with others.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you. That was significantly more comprehensive than I thought, so that's excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I rise to agree with the trustee that's questioning not the intent, but the execution of the way this is written. So what I would like to suggest is, well, first of all, the following. In mid-April, there is a story on WGN News that talks about an incident that happened at Church and Keeler where they estimate a car driving 100 miles an hour hit and did an accident there. I think what we need to do is scrap this piece of legislation the way it's currently written and focus on the real issue, which is how do we make it criminal, more criminal, or higher fines for the 1% of the 1% that violate the law in this manner, endangering the lives of Skokie residents and our police. And you know, my suggestion around that, you know, also involves other things. At Jane Stenson School, during the school year, you will see parents doing U-turns, you will see parents texting and driving, you will see people parking on the grass, literally. I think we should go after some more specific targeted behaviors, such as driving 100 miles an hour on a side street, and not just change this. The other unintended consequence of this legislation in its current form is things like Google Maps and Waze and other technologies. Once you make certain streets 25 instead of 30, they're going to start putting all the traffic on the streets that are controlled by IDOT that have higher speed limits, which are going to create serious traffic jams on things like Gulf Road. And I think this legislation, while well-meaning, needs to be tabled until we can make a short list of the behaviors we really want to curb and prevent that are harming people's safety and well-being, and that can really create a better quality life for all Skokie residents. And I thank you for your consideration, and I thank you for questioning that in the way you did.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay, thank you. Here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, please.
Hi, I'm Emmy Yamauchi, resident of Skokie. I certainly don't disagree with the previous speaker. I am in favor, though, of the 25 mile per hour limit on the side streets. However, I would also note that there's a 25 mile per hour limit on Oakton, and people are speeding there 45 and 50 miles an hour every day. I can be going 35 miles an hour, and I get tailgated. So I think that I'm not sure about specific behaviors, but I think there have to be some examples made, and people need to be caught, ticketed, and they need to really understand that 25 miles, maybe 30 miles is okay, maybe even 35, but when you're going 45 or 50 down Oakton, and those lanes are narrow, and there is parking on both sides of the street, and those parking lanes are very narrow, and the side view mirrors stick out all the time, so people are making a little curve around, and when you're going 45 miles an hour, that is, as someone here said, that is a short reactive time to put on the brakes. So, yes to 25 miles, but please, if we're going to have that law, let's enforce it, and let's start with Oakton. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board on this topic? Okay. Seeing no one, I would ask for the, one other thing I'd like to mention. I was in touch, I sent an email today to the village manager, and what I asked him is, should this pass tonight, I asked him to calendar a few things. One would be a report, written report to the board with data to be received on or about May 1st. So that would be about 60 days after the implementation. I then asked for him to calendar a verbal report, and it would be with backup in our packet for the first board meeting in August 2026. So that would be after 5 months. And that would include not only police, there would be enforcement data, there would be a lot of any data that the engineering division would care to share. And after the August report, certainly the board, we as a board can decide if there's additional reporting that we are curious about in, whatever intervals we care to set. One other just note is that between the March 1st initiation of the reduced speed limit and the first report that's been requested on May 1st, it is highly likely that our budget hearings will be held between that increment. So we would also have a time to ask the police and engineering any questions that we might have, and our communications staff as well, any questions that we have about the implementation. So, with that said, I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Pure-Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lisalivi?
Aye.
And the motion passes. I would, everything else was,
Nope,
nope. Oh, we've got one more. One more, two more,
Two more.
two more.
Item B. Item B is a resolution for the release of executive session minutes. This will be on the agenda tonight for first reading, and I would ask board action on it. This resolution, it's a twice a year we bring these. This will authorize the approval and release of certain executive session or closed session minutes. Additionally, it will retain the confidentiality of previously approved executive session minutes. No verbatim recordings will be destroyed at this time. And I would ask board approval on this.
Thank you. Is there any discussion by the board? Okay, this ordinance will come back to us.
This is a resolution, and it's up
Oh,
tonight.
okay, it says ordinance here. Okay, so it will come back on July 7th?
No, it's up tonight for first reading.
Okay,
It's a resolution.
okay, so we do need a vote?
Yes, please.
Okay, that was not in my notes here. No discussion. Is there a motion to approve? I'm seeing both. Trustee Schechter made the motion, trustee Pure-Slovan second. Thank you. One more chance for discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Pure-Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lisalivi?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Okay. Last one, item C. Item C is on the agenda tonight for second reading and adoption. The first reading was on June 4th of 2025. This ordinance will establish that compensation for the village manager, the deputy village clerk, corporation counsel, and assistant corporation counsels pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 3 of the Skokie Village Code. This ordinance is consistent with the mayor and board of trustees' direction during budget planning for the fiscal year 2026 village budget. including approval of cost of living adjustments, equity adjustments for all non-union employees, and one positional salary adjustment. I would respectfully request board action.
Thank you. I'd ask for a motion to approve. Trustee Lisa-Levy, is there a second? Trustee Pierce-Sullivan, thank you. Any questions or discussion? And is there anyone who would like to address the board on this matter? Okay, there being none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lisa-Levy?
Aye. And the motion passes.
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. That does not look like Skokie. We will then skip ahead. We have no unfinished business, new business, or plan commission reports this evening. We will instead hear a presentation of the Community Development Block Grant Community Survey results for the 5-year consolidated plan by neighborhood, presented to us by Neighborhood and Housing Coordinator Justin Malone.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Thank you for your time today. My name is Justin Malone. I'm with the Community Development Department. I also administer the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, as we're going to call it throughout our lives here. I'm going to talk about some highlights of a survey that our department conducted regarding our 5-year plan and some community needs. What I wanted to do is just kind of start with the basic of why we conducted the survey, and then the structure of it, and then we're going to go through some of the highlights of it as well. So every 5 years, communities that receive this funding from HUD must submit a 5-year plan that outlines their priorities for funding, and then those priorities help guide how the next 5 years of funding are applied. So we would want to make sure that we're listening to the community and on track with the way that the funding is spent that way. The main purpose of the CDBG funding, what we have to keep in mind, is that its goal is to assist residents who are in the low to moderate income bracket within the community. And as part of our community citizen participation, our department conducted a survey to gather feedback regarding the needs for the next 5 years, which will be from 2025 to 2029. Our survey was short, it was 11 questions, and the responses were anonymous. Over the course of 8 weeks, we received 562 responses. The structure of our questions, we asked residents to identify the top 3 unmet needs in various categories. So we provided lots of answers for them to click and choose. We also had other as an option where you could write in your own need if you didn't see what was something that mattered to you. And then each question also followed up with an open-ended option to provide additional comments about the category. And the categories are everything from neighborhood services, housing, infrastructure, and we'll go through those individually here. Before we start, I just wanted to say that the results for the survey and the public comments are available right now on the village's website. On the community development page, if you click on the CDBG button, and then about 2/3 of the way down, right where the survey used to be, the highlights of the results and the public comments are there. So if you have some extra time to read, go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so out of, like I said, we had 562 responses. 95% of those came from respondents that said they lived in Skokie. The small red portion represents community organizations that we sent the survey to get their feedback, because we work with them so often with this program, and they're literally working with these populations, and so we thought that their feedback would be really important as well. But over 95% of the results here are driven by Skokie residents. So each of the questions has top 3 answers or needs that shot to the top here, and those are highlighted in red, and I just have a brief summary of each of those based on the comments that were provided from the survey. So under community needs, we asked the residents to identify the top 3 unmet community needs that you feel should be addressed with CDBG funds. Strong demand for accessible and affordable mental health services. There are some concerns over crime and then the need for continued code enforcement within the village. There's also a strong interest in affordable and integrated community healthcare, especially for senior and disabled residents. In terms of housing needs, there's a general concern about the aging of the homes in Skokie. People also brought up lead pipes and the need for the difficulties of energy efficiency and upgrading their home and how they can get to that energy saving kind of bill. There's widespread housing affordability concerns. Many residents emphasize the urgent need for housing options for seniors, especially those who are low and moderate income. And there's advocacy for accessible housing and supportive services to allow seniors and people with disabilities to remain in their homes, and that's what we call aging in place there. Under community facility needs, residents, so parks and recreation facilities did shoot up to the top, but a lot of the comments suggested that the residents actually were in support and appreciated the current facilities that are there. I think that the general requests were for upgrades and maybe some other amenities, lots of skateboard parks, things like that were asked for. There's requests for more visible and accessible programs for seniors and advocacy for increased investment in affordable healthcare options within the community. Under specialized services, mental health, again, scored very high. Strong support for increased access to mental health care, especially for those without insurance or who are in crisis. So there's a support for job training certification and education programs and partnerships with educational institutions such as Oakton College, and advocacy for improved and tailored services for seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, and low-income residents. Under the jobs and businesses category, there was a lot of comment on the need to attract diverse and well-paying jobs to Skokie and provide opportunities for organizations to invest here. There's lots of support for small business training, technical assistance, and grants to support and encourage businesses to thrive, and strong support for partnerships with local institutions to assist with job skills training and job placement within the community. Under neighborhood services, there was support for more tree planting and green spaces within the community. And residents provided some concerns about some possible crime in their neighborhoods, but they also talked about ongoing community-led programs like neighborhood watch programs that are in place that are working out for them. There's also concerns regarding trash removal services and keeping streets and alleys free of litter. Under infrastructure, there's repeated concerns about the status of the pipes and aging pipes and water mains in Skokie and prioritizing upgrades in the lead pipe replacement program. Residents mentioned frequently about flooding and drainage issues in their neighborhood, especially after storms, and are looking for long-term solutions. Residents provided frustrations about potholes and deteriorating alleyways in their neighborhoods as well. For question 8, we asked the residents to rank your top 3 priorities that you feel should be addressed regardless of the category over the next 5 years. So this is just overarching, no separate categories, and it's similarly affordable housing, crime prevention, and drainage improvements ranked in the top 3. Additional high-ranking mentions were for vacant lots and buildings, which includes commercial storefronts, homeless prevention and support, and programming for senior citizens. We asked residents to identify the top 3 primary obstacles that they see facing low and moderate income residents in their community. Residents had concerns regarding high housing costs that disproportionately impact low and moderate income residents, seniors, and renters. Residents highlight the barriers that exist for low-income residents to be able to work and live in Skokie. And residents state that sometimes language is a significant obstacle for many of them in terms of accessing resources, including digital accessibility for many families. Under economic development, residents show that there is a strong need for, or desire for the revitalization of parts of Skokie, such as Main Street and downtown. The residents also mentioned the need for skilled trade training programs, as well as other programs that encourage the growth of small businesses in town. And residents emphasize that helping independent businesses thrive by providing incentives for small business and entrepreneurs is important. Our final question on the survey asks, what are the top 3 ways that are the best ways to reach out to you? And so we were excited to hear that the email newsletter was the first. I have to thank our communications team for helping put this out so many times. Because of the amount that we were able to advertise it, we were able to get the amount of responses we had. We did do social media as well, and it was available on our website the whole time, so we did well there. And then we finally said, how did you hear about this particular survey? And again, the newsletter and social media helped, as well as email invitation or email word of mouth, I would say. So again, a deeper dive on this is available on the village's website. And I'm here for any questions from the board or the public. Thank you.
Thank you for your report, Justin. Are there questions for Justin? Trustee Schechter?
Well, first, I just wanted to thank you and thank the staff for generating so many responses, and just to point out how important the CDBG program is. I mean, it's really all about the federal government recognizing that to address poverty, you can't just leave it up to municipalities in the states, that we need, you know, federal help. And, you know, to the extent that we're getting it, groups and the village have been using the money really, really well. But I just wanted to also comment in terms of seeing the priorities here around housing and aging in place, and just, but also youth, and that really these are all sort of intersectional, you know, that aging in place is every age, and to the extent that we help one age group, you know, even things like, does Skokie still have like will work? There was something where we would connect young people to shovel sidewalks for older people.
Gail, it's through, yeah, it's called Teen Link.
Oh, Teen
And
Link.
it's through the village's Human Services Department. Yep. Very popular during snowstorms.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I plan to take a dive into this because there were a couple of things that came up that I'm certainly wondering about. But I also think it's going to be very interesting to see how the priorities that were identified in this survey, how consistent they are with what we hear from the community once we launch our strategic plan in the next, in the very near future.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, an interesting comparison. I would expect there will be parallels.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what the community tells us. Anything else you'd like to tell us, Justin?
No, I think that this went really well. I worked in collaboration with some other communities that are in the Northern Cook County Consortium region. We all kind of made the survey together, and the survey was the same for all of us, so we were able to compare our data. Yeah, it's been really helpful. Ever since joining that group, it's been really nice to have some people to bounce ideas off of.
Good. Well, thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
So the last item on our agenda is our final opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the board on an issue that has not already been addressed? Sir, and then sir.
Good evening. My name is Imran Shah. I'm going to kind of look at my phone. I know I have limited time to speak, but I'll try to fit in as many things I can in the few minutes that I believe I'm given. me and my family, 3 kids, we live on 8104 Lincoln Avenue. We've been here for about 8 years without any issues. We live in a mixed-use building. This is regarding a project that was done for Swift Childcare. And we've been dealing with this since 2024 of September. We used to have no problems from access to parking to getting our packages, mail, no obstructions. The reason why I'm here, I was hoping to catch everybody, is that the board could help resolve these matters by looking into this modified review or revisit this project since there's too many flaws. I've spoken to the building department, community director, council, other departments, and this matter keeps falling on deaf ears. There is also concern about if the special use permit is even valid. Since this new playground that was started in 2024 was approved through a modified review last year, we have been facing serious challenges. I've complained to the village. We are having issues with obstruction of egress, hindrance of our mail, delivery packages not coming to us because of this obstruction, little children inhaling toxic fumes from the garage exhaust booth. We have to walk around our whole block to get in front of our building, neighbors getting our packages, fire code violations, all sorts of chaotic issues. This project was done without proper permits. After my persistence pushing on looking into this matter, the building department or community director decided to retroactively give this project a permit. I've also proven to the fire department that the building does not meet fire code violations. They've come and then fell on deaf ears. I was directed to council, didn't go anywhere, went to different departments. Now we're dealing with the community director again. I've talked to the postal office. They're saying to either go back to the village or bring some kind of federal agency to look into these matters. After I complained to the village, again, we've been here for 8 years, pay our rent, good citizens, no issues. The amount of retaliation and harassment and intimidation my family is facing from our landlord, breaking into our house, trying to take our front locks away.
Mr. Shah, I'm so sorry, I need you to wrap it up, please.
Help resolve these issues. I'm almost done, Mayor. Thank you. I'm hoping the board can help resolve this matter. I have faith that there's someone who will do the right thing. All we want is no fire hazard.
And I need to
children's
stop.
safety,
I'm so
and
sorry. I
retaliation.
do have to stop you now. You've gone over significantly.
Okay.
Our interim acting village manager will call you tomorrow. Thank you. Mr. Shah, would you kindly provide our deputy clerk with your phone number? Thank you. Excuse me?
First, just want to make one comment on one previous thing. I'd like to meet with you, Trustee Slovan, to introduce new legislation that would actually solve the real problems that actually need to be addressed revolving reckless driving in this village. I think it's an important issue, and I appreciate your concern about that. The last time you guys saw me before you, I was at the village board meeting where the fire chief made a very thoughtful presentation on the need for a 4th ambulance and the lack of ambulance coverage at the north end of the village. In the hallway that evening, we had a very nice conversation about the fact that despite speaking on it at least on 4 different occasions since the beginning of this year, I still don't have a plan to get my father, who now has a device in him that can only be treated at Lutheran General. I still don't have a plan to get him transported to Lutheran General when that's there. Currently, our address, the previous excuses on this issue have been that our address is much farther away to Lutheran General than to Evanston Hospital, which would be the second place that might have the capability, but I've called there and they don't. But that's not actually true. It's about 5.1 miles versus 4.9. Given the fact the ambulance could drive down Gulf Road with more lanes and more speed, we could actually get the Lutheran General from their residents faster. I care about saving my father's life when he eventually has an issue with this. I've spoken before this body 4 times this year, in the village management, nor the fire chief, who last time I met him after that board meeting, we had a very positive, very constructive conversation in the hallway about those things. And he said he would call me, and I haven't heard from him since. I don't understand. You know, I'm here trying to save my father's life and get him to a hospital that actually has a good rating, instead of the one that treats people like garbage. And the last 2 times my mother was there, they didn't even ask her if she needed to go to the bathroom. And when I picked her up, they said that she didn't even go to the bathroom. It's a hellhole, and we deserve better. Lastly, if you're going to do a strategic plan, we need to have fiber internet in every residence in this village as soon as possible. That's one of many things that have been ignored by the previous decade by the village management team, despite numerous requests from our family. Other residents that have spoken before here, one of them actually emailed the village manager today about that issue, and that's there. I also would like to meet with you to talk about each one of these issues and create a plan to solve them. Some of them are one-time, very simple issues. Some of them are more strategic and need help with other agencies. I need your help, Mayor, in making that happen. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Trustee Lissalevy, second. Trustee Iverson, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissalevy?
Aye. We are adjourned.